Well, hi, friends. Doc South with you. And, well, here it is, middle of February, right? Give or take. And pretty soon, I guess, give it another month or so, maybe a little longer than that, it'll be fishing season. I believe there is somewhat of a winter season that might be going on now here in mid-February. I have seen people fishing. They appear to be licensed up, and they're out there doing what they can to catch a few. And I I was watching them the other day, and I got to thinking the fun I used to have when I lived up in North Pennsylvania, North Central, town of Forksville, Pensy. Um, you can actually consult your maps. Forksville, I think you can Google it and check it out. It's a small little town nestled in the mountains up there. Oh gosh, the endless mountains. Right, it is pretty much what it calls. And the Loyalsock Creek goes through it. Yeah, it just meanders its way through the valleys, and winds up eventually in the I believe the Susquehanna River, down a little bit downstream from Williamsport, and it's great. Oh, I used to love living up there. I really did, and very, very rural. All capital letters for rural. And the Loyalsock, though, come fishing season, first day of trout season. Oh my God, people are. You think it's Grand Central Station? All the people there fishing. It's just unreal. So many folks. Um, but and it's stocked with some really serious trout, and of course, a lot of them evade getting a hook, and they reproduce, and next thing you know, you got all sorts of native trout in that stream, and boy, some of them, whoo, they're like submarines. They're just all sorts of great fishing up there. Um, and I used to like to go. I know I had my hip waders. Yep, I had some nice hip boots. Had perfectly good casting reel, pole, all that stuff. Of course, more than enough worms out there in the garden, and off I'd go to fish. And it was not more than maybe 100-yard walk from my house to go to the Loyalsock. And I used to go out there. I used to go out there periodically, darn near every day. And you'd be surprised. I'd catch myself more than my share. It was great. But there was this. I was married then to my first wife, Molly, and we had cats, and a rather and a nice oh gosh a Labrador Retriever named Joshua. And Labrador Retrievers are known for swimming. They actually, if you were to spread their paws, there's like skin between. Yeah, there's skin between what would be their fingers. And that actually helps them. They actually have their paws in the water are more like oars. So they're very good swimmers. And if Josh knew I was going fishing, he'd go out of his mind. And you had to take him down. He had to come with you. So there he is, swimming all over the darn water. And now people would say, well, that's not so. How are you going to catch any fish like that? Doggone dog swimming all around you, barking and stuff. Didn't seem to bother the trout. No, it really didn't. And he'd be just. Of course, he'd want me to throw things. Being a Labrador Retriever, I had to bring like a pocket full of rocks, and you'd throw the rocks, and he'd jump and swim after the rock and dive down. And, a lot of times he'd come back with the darn rock I threw. I marked one, and he'd actually find it. Go figure. I don't know. He was something. And then I had a cat. Are you talking? I mean, this is a doggone caravan going to the river. It was. Then Sonny had come along. Burgess, maybe my son. They'd be wanting to fish too from the side of the edge of the river. But the and the you had the dog, you had the kids, and now here come the cats. Yeah. And there was one cat we had named Ed. And Ed would it was kind of cool. He would I'd be out there in my hip waders. He'd come moseying up to the shoreline and he'd look at me and he'd start meowing and caterwauling like you wouldn't believe. Meow, meow. And Ed, come on, I'm trying to fish here. The dog's quiet. The kids are, I've told the kids they better shut up. Now you, meow. And he just wouldn't stop. And he'd be going like that with his paw, like out at me. And I'd be maybe 10, 12 feet out in the stream. Okay, so I'd have to come back in. I'd say, so what do you want? I'd be petting him, and all of a sudden he'd run up my arm and park himself on my shoulder and start to purr. And he wanted to be out there in case I'd have to go out in the stream in my waders and fish. And he'd be sitting on my shoulder. He wanted to be the first one on hand if I caught anything. I'm telling you, there were pictures. I don't have any of them, but it would have made a great picture for the newspapers. But Ed would sit on my shoulder and just sit there and purr. And if I caught a fish, I had like a little basket for, sticking him in the basket. But he'd go out of his mind. Oh, my God. And when it came time to clean the fish, well, he was there to help. There wasn't much that he could eat off a raw fish. And also, there was a lot of bones. But he'd follow me into the house. We'd fry up the fish and, of course, sit down to have a meal. Ed would be on my lap, just purring. You could hear him 5 miles downstream. He'd be purring so loud. Oh, he loved the idea of going fishing. And he was a big help. Yeah. No, he never fell in. I guess that's why cats have claws. He'd just hang on to sometimes it'd be a little rough because he'd dig his claws into my shoulder. And, and he went right through the doggone, I'm wearing a t-shirt, and he's digging his claws into my bare skin. But eventually we got it straightened out. I just wore more of a sweatshirt when I'd go. And that way the claws didn't get in too deep. And, but he was, he was just amazing. I think one day I had to go to the doctor and, you have your shirt off to get checked. And doctor looks, what's all those scratches on your arm? And I explained, like I just explained to you. He said, you got a cat that actually goes fishing with you? I said, yeah. God, he says, that's cool. It's just what the doctor said. I said, it's what he does. God, love a duck. He said, I'd like to see that. And he said, doesn't fall in? I said, no, so far, no. He hangs on for dear life and sits there just purring on my shoulder. And when I get close enough to shore, he's a pretty good jumper. He knows when to jump, and he jumps to the shoreline. And we take the fish home and clean them. And he says, wow. Yep, good old Ed the cat. He was a pretty cool fella. I actually helped him be born. Yeah, his mom was having trouble. He was not coming out like he should. I think he was backwards or something, if I recall right. And I actually, she kind of panicked, didn't know what to do. I got her calmed down, and when Ed finally came out enough, she wasn't licking. Usually the mama cat will lick the baby to break the umbilical cord. Well, what I had to do was tie off Ed's umbilical and then snip in the middle. Yeah. And actually, then Mom eventually figured it out and licked him enough till his umbilical cord was just right and his belly button was as it should be. But he was just doggone the greatest cat ever. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, my heavens. Yeah, I miss him. He was all right. I don't know. Sandy and I ought to have a cat, I would think. But then again, basset hounds are pretty cool to have, too. We got to get another one as soon as we can. That would be nice. Basset hound, I mean. Cat wouldn't be bad either. I would think they'd get along, sort of. They do after a while. Anyway, I'll see you later, friends. Thank you, and God bless. And yeah, good old Ed. Great cat. I'll see you later. Bye now.